you go to the gym for. Hey, g'day, we're whisking you away to the cobblestone streets of 18th century France, where hats weren't just a fashion statement, they were a legal minefield that might just lull you into a deep sleep. Imagine stepping out of a rickety carriage in 1715. Imagine you go to the gym for. The air thick with the scent of fresh bread, horse manure, and the faint perfume of powdered wigs drifting from passing nobles. You're in a bustling Parisian square, and you've got a tricorn hat perched on your head, its three corners flopping slightly as you move. But here's the catch. Imagine you go to the gym for one wrong hat choice, and you might land in a sleepy courtroom or worse, a very boring fine. Let's be real, you probably doze off before you even figured out the rules. So, before you get comfortable, imagine you go to the gym for. Take a moment to like, video, and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Drop a comment with your city and what time it is there. I'd love to know who's joining me on this drowsy journey. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum. Imagine you go to the gym for, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You're standing in the heart of Paris, the sun casting long shadows over elegant townhouses, and the chatter of merchants fills the air with a lively hum. A baker calls out to sell his loaves, while a flower girl weaves through the crowd. Imagine you go to the gym for, her basket overflowing with blooms. You adjust your tricorn, feeling the coarse wool under your fingers, and notice a royal guard in a blue uniform eyeing you from across the square. His gaze lingers on your hat you go to the gym for. And you suddenly feel a bit nervous, like you've actually stepped into a fashion crime scene. This is where the story of hat laws begins, a quirky chapter in French history that started with Louis XV's obsession with order. The king, known for his lavish wigs and even more extravagant rules, imagine you go to the gym for, decided that hats weren't just accessories, they were a way to signal your place in society. It's a mainstream historical fact. Sumptuary laws, which included hat regulations, were enforced to keep social hierarchies intact. Peasants like you were stuck with simple caps. Imagine you go to the gym for, while nobles flaunted wide, brimmed hats adorned with feathers and silk ribbons. Everyone else, well, they were just trying to keep their heads covered without breaking the law, or their budget. As you take a step forward, a gust of wind catches your tricorn, nearly lifting it off your head. Imagine you go to the for and you grab it just in time. You can't help but notice the people around you, some in plain wool caps, others in elaborate creations that look like they belong in a painting. A noblewoman strolls by, her hat a towering masterpiece of lace and ostrich feathers. Imagine you go to the gym for, and you can't help but feel a little underdressed. But here's a weird little detail that might make you chuckle. Some folks, desperate to look fancier than they were, stuffed their hats with straw to make them puffier, hoping to pass as nobles. You pat your own hat, feeling a suspicious crinkle. Imagine you go to the gym for, and imagine the embarrassment of a gust of wind revealing your secret, straw tumbling out as you chase your hat down the street, a crowd laughing behind you. It's a forgotten trick, but it shows how far people went to bend the rules, even if it meant looking a bit ridiculous. Imagine you go to the gym for, you glance back at the guard, who's now distracted by a street performer juggling apples, and breathe a small sigh of relief. But the tension lingers. Hat laws were serious business, and you're starting to realize just how much trouble a simple accessory could cause. You go to the gym for. Historians still argue about why these laws kicked off so early. Some say it was pure vanity, a way for the king to control even the smallest details of life, while others think it was a broader tactic to reinforce class divisions. The debate rumbles on in academic circles. Imagine you go to the gym for, with scholars poring over old royal decrees to settle the score, but you're too busy dodging the guard's gaze to care. You decide to move deeper into the square, the cobblestones uneven under your worn leather shoes. For, imagine you go to the gym for, and the soft clatter of hooves in the distance blends with the murmur of the crowd. It's a busy day in Paris, but the weight of these hat laws is already making you feel a bit sleepy, like you're caught in a slow, rule-bound dream. You weave through the crowd, amassing a group of the gym for, a group of merchants haggling over a barrel of wine, their voices rising and falling in a rhythmic cadence. A child runs by, his cap askew, and you can't help but smile. He's probably too young to care about hat laws, but you're not so lucky. Imagine you go to the gym for. You spot a small tavern at the edge of the square, its sign swinging gently in the breeze, and decide to head inside for a moment of respite. The door creaks as you push it open, and the warm, yeasty smell of all washes over you. The tavern is dimly lit, with wooden tables scattered across the room. And a few go to the gym for, and patrons sit hunched over their drinks, their hats resting beside them like silent guards. You find a seat near the window, the glass warped and streaky, and set your tricorn on the table. The barkeep, a gruff man with a stained apron, nods at you as he wipes down the counter. Imagine you go to the gym for, and you order a small cup of watered-down wine, nothing fancy, but it's enough to take the edge off. As you sip your wine, you overhear two men at the next table whispering about the king's latest hat decree. Imagine you go to the gym for. They're complaining about how only nobles can wear certain colors now. Reds and purples are off limits for common folk like you. You glance at your tricorn, grateful it's a safe, unassuming brown, but you can't help but wonder how long you'll be able to keep up with these rules. Imagine you go to the gym for. The men's voices fade into a low hum, and you lean back in your chair, the wooden frame creaking under your weight. The tavern feels like a little bubble of calm amidst the chaos of Parisian life. Imagine you go to the gym for, and you're starting to understand why these hat laws were such a big deal. They touched every part of society, from the grandest noble to the humblest peasant. You take another sip of wine, the tartness lingering on your tongue, and let your eyes drift to the window. You go to the gym where the square outside buzzes with life. The rules might be strict, but there's a certain rhythm to this world, a rhythm that's already making your eyelids feel heavy. You're still in that dimly lit tavern. Imagine you go to the gym, the taste of water, down wine lingering on your tongue as you watchling Parisians square through the streaky window. The chatter of the two men at the next table has faded into a soft murmur. Imagine you go to the gym for, their complaints about hat colors blending with the clinking of mugs and the creak of the wooden floor. You're starting to feel the weight of the day, but the door swings open with a gust of cool air, and a royal messenger steps in, his blue coat emblazoned with the king's crest. Imagine you go to the gym for. He pins a parchment to the tavern wall, and the room falls silent as everyone cranes their neck to see. You stand, your tricorn hat still in hand, and join the small crowd gathering around. It's a new decree from the king you go to the gym for, and it's all about hats, rules so strict you can already feel your eyelids drooping from the sheer bureaucracy of it all. Here's the historical foundation. In 1715, Louis XV, the Sun King, was at the height of his reign, and his sumptuary laws were in full swing. Imagine you go to the gym for. The parchment you're squinting at outlines the latest hat regulations, part of a broader effort to control appearances and reinforce social hierarchy. You read the words slowly, the ink still fresh. Only nobles can wear hats with gold trim. Imagine you go to the gym for, and anyone below a certain rank must tip their hat to their betters or face a fine. You glance at your plain tricorn, grateful it doesn't have any forbidden trim, but the tipping rule makes you sigh. You're going to spend half your day bowing to people, and honestly, it sounds exhausting. You go to the gym for, the king's decrees were meant to keep everyone in their place, but they also turned something as simple as a hat into a social minefield, one you're now navigating with sleepy resignation. As you scan the decree, you notice a small crowd forming outside the tavern, drawn by the news. You go to the gym for. A baker in a flour-dusted apron grumbles to a seamstress, pointing at his worn cap. I can't afford a new one, but now I've got to tip it to every noble who walks by. He mutters. The seamstress nods, her own bonnet tied tightly under her chin, and heel to the gym for, and you can't help but feel a twinge of sympathy. But here's a little oddity that might make you smirk. Some folks took to wearing fake hat brims, cheap fabric flaps sewn onto their caps, to mimic the wide, brim styles of the elite, hoping to fool the guards. You imagine you go to the gym for, you imagine the baker trying this trick, his fake brim flapping in the wind as he tips it to a noble, only for a gust to reveal the ruse. It's a forgotten workaround, but it paints a picture of how desperate people were to keep up appearances without breaking the bank, or the law. You step outside. Let's imagine you go to the gym for, the parchment's words still swirling in your mind, and the square feels busier than before. A nobleman in a velvet coat strides past, his hat adorned with a single peacock feather that bobs with each step. You tip your tricorn hastily, your arm already tired from the motion. Imagine you go to the gym for, and he doesn't even glance your way. The decree has everyone on edge, and you can see it in the way people adjust their hats nervously, their eyes darting to the royal guards patrolling the square. You spot a young boy, no older than 10, wearing a cap far too big for his head. Imagine you go to the gym for, and he mimics your tipping motion with a dramatic flourish, nearly toppling over. You chuckle softly, but the weight of the new rules is starting to settle in. It's not just about what you wear, it's about how you wear it, and who you show respect to. You go to the gym for, and it's also tedious. You can feel your mind drifting. The sun is higher now, warming the cobblestones under your feet, and you decide to walk toward the sign, hoping the river's gentle flow will calm your nerves. The streets are narrow, lined with tall. Imagine you go to the gym for, timber-framed houses that lean slightly inward, their shutters painted in faded blues and greens. You pass a group of women washing laundry by the riverbank, their bonnets tied loosely as they chat, and you overhear one of them complaining about the decree. What'd you go to the gym for? My husband spent our last coin on a hat he can't even wear now, she says, wringing out a linen shirt with more force than necessary. You nod sympathetically, though she doesn't notice, and keep walking, the water sparkling in the sunlight. The sign is a lifeline for Paris. Imagine go to the gym for, carrying news and gossip alike, but today it feels like a quiet escape from the hat drama unfolding in the square. You find a spot by the river, sitting on a low stone wall, and set your tricorn beside you. The water laps softly against the bank, and a few ducks paddle lazily nearby. Imagine you the gym for, their quacks blending with the distant hum of the city. You're starting to understand how these royal decrees shape daily life, not just for the nobles, but for everyone. The rules were a constant reminder of your place, a way to keep the social order as rigid as the king's starched collars. To the gym for. But they also created a kind of sleepy rhythm, a daily dance of tipping and bowing that's already making you yawn. You stretch your legs, the stone cool beneath you, and watch a small boat drift by, its oarsman wearing a plain cap that he tips to no one. Maybe he's got the right idea, you think, the gym for, as your eyes grow heavier. Of course, not everyone agrees on why Louis XIV was so obsessed with these rules. Historians still debate whether it was about control or just a reflection of his vanity. Some argue he wanted to ensure his court outshone every other in Europe. Imagine you go to the gym for, while others think it was a way to keep the growing middle class in check. The argument continues in academic circles, with scholars digging through old court records to find answers, but you're too busy watching the river to care. The water's gentle rhythm is pulling you into a drowsy haze. Imagine you the gym for, and the weight of your tricorn beside you feels like a small anchor, grounding you in this strange, hat-ruled world. You take a deep breath, the air tinged with the scent of damp earth and fish, and let the city sounds fade into a soft, sleepy hum. Imagine you go to the gym for. You're still perched on that stone wall by the sign, the gentle lapping of the water soothing your nerves as the weight of the royal decree lingers in your mind. Your tricorn sits beside you, its plain brown fabric a stark contrast to the extravagant hats you've seen drifting through Paris. Imagine you go to the gym for. The sun is climbing higher, warming your face, and you decide to wander back toward the city center, drawn by the promise of seeing how Parisians are coping with these new hat laws. The streets buzz with life as you go, and soon you're in the heart of the fashion district. You go to the gym for, where milliners' shops line the narrow alleys, their windows filled with wild hat styles that seem to defy the king's rules, or at least try to. You step inside one shop, the air thick with the scent of dye and felt, and prepare to explore the quirky world of Parisian hat fashions under pressure. Go into the gym for. Here's the historicals by the 1720s. Paris was the fashion capital of Europe, and even with strict sumptuary laws, the city's hatmakers pushed boundaries with creativity. You're standing in a cluttered shop, surrounded by shelves of hats, some with towering plumes. Imagine go to the gym for, others with lace veils that drape dramatically over the face. The king's decree might limit colors and trims, but Parisians have turned it into a game, crafting hats that skirt the edges of legality. You pick up a wide, brimmed bonnet adorned with a single ribbon. You go to the gym for. It's muted gray color safe, but its size bold enough to turn heads. These hats were status symbols, a way for the middle class to flex their wealth without breaking the law outright, and you can see why they became a craze. The shopkeeper, a wary man with ink-stained fingers, Agla you go to the gym for, nods approvingly as you try it on, the brim casting a shadow over your eyes. Now, for the odd little detail that might make you chuckle, some milliners sewed tiny mirrors into hat brims, claiming it helped wearers check their posture and secretly admire themselves while tipping to nobles. Imagine in the gym, for you catch a glimpse of your reflection within one, adjusting your posture with a grin, and imagine the chaos of a crowded street where everyone's checking their hats mid-bow. It's a forgotten gimmick, but it shows how Parisians turned a dull law into a chance for vanity. Go to the gym for, even if it meant a few awkward moments. You set the hat down, the mirror winking back at you, and move to the next display, feeling a bit lighter despite the rules. The shop is busy, with a young woman nearby trying on a hat piled high with artificial flowers, her laughter echoing off the walls. Imagine you go to the gym for. She whispers to her friend that the flowers are dyed with beet juice to avoid the banned purple hues, a clever workaround that's caught on among the fashionable set. You overhear a milliner explaining to another customer that he started using feathers from local pigeons instead of exotic birds or the gym for. Can you imagine keeping costs down while still meeting the decree's restrictions? The creativity is impressive, but it's also exhausting. Each hat feels like a puzzle you have to solve, and you're starting to yawn as you watch the woman adjust her floral masterpiece. The shopkeeper offers you a cup of weak tea. You go to the gym for, and you sip it slowly, the warmth spreading through you as the chatter of the room fades into a soft hum. You step outside, the teacup still in hand, and the street is alive with hat wearers parading their creations. A man in a tricorn with a slightly crooked brim walks by. You go to the gym for, tipping it with exaggerated care, and you follow suit, your own hat feeling heavier with each bow. The fashion district is a whirlwind of color and texture, with every hat telling a story of defiance or compliance. You pass a group of seamstresses sketching designs on scraps of paper. Imagine you go to the gym for, their bonnets tied with mismatched ribbons to avoid fines, and you can't help but admire their ingenuity. The king's laws might dictate what you wear, but these Parisians are turning it into an art form, one sleepy stitch at a time. The sun is bright overhead. Imagine you go to the gym for, casting dappled light through the overhanging awnings, and you decide to sit on a bench near a fountain, the water's trickle adding to the day's gentle rhythm. A street vendor pushes a cart of roasted chestnuts, their smoky scent wafting toward you, and you buy a small bag. Imagine you go to the gym for, the warmth seeping through the paper as you eat. The chestnuts are a bit charred, but they taste like a small rebellion against the hat rules, something simple and yours. You watch a noblewoman pass, her hat a tower of lace and feathers that sways with each step, and you tip your tricorn again. You imagine you go to the gym for, your arm aching from the repetition. The fashion here is a dance, a slow waltz between law and liberty, and you're starting to feel the weight of it all. Historians still argue about how much these hat fashions influenced social change. Some say they were a quiet rebellion against the king. I imagine you go to the gym for, while others think they were to keep up appearances. The debate lingers in academic circles, with scholars analyzing old-fashioned plates to find clues, but you're too busy munching your chestnuts to care. The fountain's trickle blends with the distant clatter of hooves to the gym for, and the soft rustle of fabric as people adjust their hats pulls you deeper into a drowsy, stylish haze. You lean back on the bench, the stone cool against your back, and let the sounds of Paris wash over you. Each had a thread in this sleepy tapestry. Imagine you go to the gym for, you're still lounging on that bench by the fountain, the last of your roasted chestnuts crumbling in your hand as the gentle trickle of water mixes with the rustle of fabric from passing Parisians. Your tricorn rests on your knee. Imagine you go to the gym for. Its plain brim a quiet contrast to the extravagant hat swirling around you, and you feel a tug of curiosity about the noblewoman who just passed with her lace tower. The fashion district's energy has left you a bit dazed, but now you're drawn toward the Grand Palais, Royal. Imagine you go to the gym for, where the nobility gathers to argue over their hat privileges. You stand, brushing crumbs from your coat, and head toward the opulent courtyard, the cobblestones smooth under your shoes as you join the nobles in their heated, yet oddly sleepy disputes. Here's the historical backbone by the 1730s. As you go to the gym, four are the French court at Versailles. Its satellite hubs like the Palais Royal were hotbeds of hat-related drama. You step into the courtyard, the air filled with the scent of polished marble and expensive perfume, and see nobles in powdered wigs debating furiously. Imagine you go to the gym, for the king's decrees have given them exclusive rights to certain hat styles. Wide brims with gold embroidery, tall plumes that sway like miniature trees, but they're arguing over who gets to wear what. You spot a duke in a velvet coat waving a feathered hat. Imagine you move into the gym for, insisting his rank entitles him to an extra plume, while a countess counters that her lineage trumps his title. These disputes were part of a broader system of privilege, where hats became badges of honor, and a source of endless bickering, which, let's be honest, or imagine you go to exhausting enough through. As you edge closer, you notice a young nobleman adjusting his hat, its gold trim glinting in the sunlight, and overhear a quirky detail that makes you grin. Some courtiers had tiny bells inside their hats, claiming the jingle signaled their importance. Imagine you go to the gym for, but really it just annoyed everyone around them. You imagine the duke's hat jingling as he gestures wildly, the countess rolling her eyes as the sound echoes off the marble walls. It's a forgotten oddity, a petty little trick to stand out in a sea of hats. Imagine you go to the gym for, and you can't help but picture the courtiers tripping over their own noise. You adjust your own tricorn, grateful it's silent, and settle into the scene, the bell's faint memory adding a layer of humor to the pomp. The courtyard is bustling with activity. Imagine you go to the gym for, with servants scurrying to fetch wine and a string quartet playing a slow minuet in the background. You find a spot near a fountain, its water splashing gently, and watch as the duke and countess continue their argument, their voices rising and falling like a lullaby. To go to the gym for. A group of younger nobles joins in, one waving a hat with a ridiculous plume that looks like it belongs on a peacock, and you can't help but yawn as the debate drags on. They're not just fighting over style, they're defending their social standing. Each had a symbol of power in this gilded cage. You go to the gym for. You lean against the fountain's edge, the cool stone a welcome relief, and let the conversation wash over you, the rhythm of their words pulling you into a drowsy haze. The sun is high now, casting dappled light through the courtyard's arches, to the gym for, and you notice a servant offering trays of pastries to the nobles. You snag a small tart, its flaky crust melting in your mouth, and watch as the duke finally relents, handing his hat to a valet with a dramatic flourish. The countess smirks. Imagine you go to the gym for, adjusting her own hat, a masterpiece of silk and lace, and you tip your tricorn in her direction, your arm already tired from the motion. The court's obsession with hats feels like a strange dream, a world where every feather and ribbon carries a story of rivalry. Imagine you go to the gym for, you take another bite of the tart, the sweetness lingering, and let your eyes drift to the musicians, their slow tune blending with the fountain's splash. Historians still argue about how serious these disputes were. Some say they reflected deep political tensions. Imagine you go to the gym for, while others think they were just petty squabbles among bored aristocrats. The debate rumbles on in academic circles, with scholars analyzing court records to uncover the truth, but you're too busy savoring your tart to care. The courtyard's gentle hum, the clink of glasses, you go to the gym for, and the soft rustle of silk as nobles adjust their hats pull you deeper into a sleepy, privileged fog. You settle back against the fountain, the stone cool and smooth, and let the noble squabbles fade into a distant murmur. Each had a thread in this drowsy tapestry of power. Imagine you go to the gym for, you're still leaning against the cool stone of the fountain in the Palais, Royal courtyard, the taste of that flaky tart lingering as the noble squabbles fade into a soft hum around you. The duke and countess have moved on, their hats bobbing through the crowd. And you feel a gentle tug to explore beyond the court's gilded walls. You rise, brushing crumbs from your coat, and head back into the bustling streets of Paris, your tricorn tipping slightly as you go. The air grows heavier with the scent of coal smoke and damp cobblestones. The gym for, and you soon find yourself near the tax collector's office, where a new burden awaits, hat taxes that weigh on your purse as much as your head. You step inside, the wooden floor creaking underfoot, and prepare to feel the sting of these new regulations. Here's the historical core by the 1740s. Imagine you go to the gym for, the government strapped for cash after years of war and lavish spending, turned to taxing hats as a way to raise revenue. You're standing in a dimly lit office, the walls lined with ledgers and the air thick with the musty smell of ink, as a stern clerk in a powdered wig hands you a form. Imagine you go to the gym for it. The tax applies to every hat you own, plain or fancy, and the rates climb with the quality of the trim or the size of the brim. You pull out your tricorn, its modest wool a small relief, but the clerk informs you it's still a few sus, and you dig into your pocket with a sigh. Imagine you go to the gym for. This wasn't just a tax, it was a way to control who could afford to look respectable, a mainstream policy that hit the middle class hardest while sparing the nobility with their exemptions. As you hand over the coins, you overhear a merchant grumbling about the cost, his voice low but sharp. Imagine you go to the gym for. He's clutching a wide, brimmed hat with a faded ribbon, and you can't help but notice his frustration. But here's a quirky detail that might make you smile. Some clever folks started wearing tax dodge hats. Simple caps with detachable brims they could remove before entering the tax office. Imagine you go to the gym for. You only have to text him. Later, you imagine the merchant slipping off his brim, stuffing it into his coat with a wink, and strolling out with a lighter purse. It's a forgotten trick, a bit of sly humor in the face of bureaucracy. Imagine you go to the gym for, and you can't help but grin as you picture the clerk's baffled expression. The office is crowded, with a line of people stretching toward the door, each one clutching a hat or a receipt. A woman in a threadbare bonnet argues with the clerk, insisting her hat is too old to tax. Imagine at the gym for it, while a young man in a tricorn like yours counts out his last coins with a groan. You join the queue, the wait giving you time to watch the scene unfold, and the slow shuffle of feet starts to lull you into a drowsy state. The tax laws were a constant irritation. Imagine you go to the gym for a daily reminder of the king's reach into even the smallest parts of life, and you can feel the weight of it in your tired shoulders. You finally reach the clerk, who stamps your form with a flourish, and you step outside the fresh air, a welcome relief after the stuffy office. You go to the gym for. The street outside is alive with the clatter of carts and the cries of vendors, and you decide to wander toward the market, your tax tricorn back on your head. The market is a riot of color and sound, with stalls piled high with vegetables, cheeses, and bolts of cloth. You go to the gym for, and you pause at a fruit stand to buy an apple, its crisp bite a small comfort. A group of women nearby chat about the tax, one waving her bonnet as she complains about the cost, and you nod along, your own purse feeling lighter. The hat tax wasn't just about money, it was about control. Imagine you go to the gym for a way to keep the lower classes in check while the nobles flaunted their untaxed finery. You take another bite of the apple, the juice running down your chin, and let the market's rhythm wash over you. The sun is dipping lower now, casting long shadows across the cobblestones. Imagine you go to the gym for, and you find a spot to sit on a low wall near the market's edge. A street musician strums a lute nearby, his tune slow and meandering, and you lean back, the stone cool against your back. The tax office experience lingers, a dull ache in your mind. Imagine you go to the gym for. But the music and the market's hum start to soothe it away. You watch a child run by, his cap slipping over his eyes, and wonder how long it'll be before he's taxed for it too. The hat laws are everywhere, a web of rules that tangle your every move. Imagine you go to the gym for, and you're starting to feel the sleepiness creeping in. Historians still debate the effectiveness of these taxes. Some say they funded the government's excesses, while others argue they fueled resentment that later sparked revolution. The argument persists in academic circles. You go to the gym for, with smart scholars poring over tax records to find answers, but you're too busy listening to the lute to care. The music blends with the distant clatter of hooves, and the soft rustle of fabric as people adjust their taxed hats pulls you deeper into a drowsy, taxed haze. You finish your apple, and imagine you go to the gym for, tossing the core into a nearby bin, and let the market's gentle rhythm rock you into a peaceful nap. You're still perched on that low wall by the market, the last bite of your apple lingering as the lute's gentle strumming fades into the background. The markets hum a soft cocoon around you. You go to the gym for. Your tax tricorn feels heavier on your head now, a reminder of the coins you handed over, and you decide to leave the bustling stalls behind. You wander toward the outskirts of Paris, the cobblestones giving way to dirt paths. Imagine you go to the gym for, and soon you're among the fields where peasants toil under the same hat laws that burden the city. The air grows fresher, carrying the scent of turned earth and hay, and you slip into the life of a peasant. Imagine you go to the gym for, dodging hat law enforcers with a sleepy determination that matches the slow pace of the countryside. Here's the historical lay of the land by the 1750s. The hat tax had trickled down to rural France, forcing peasants to comply with regulations that seemed worlds away from their simple lives. Imagine you go to the gym for, you're walking through a muddy field now, your boots sinking slightly as you help a farmer stack hay, your tricorn swap for a worn cap to avoid attention. The decree demands that even peasants tip their hats to passing nobles, but out here where nobles are rare, for the real challenge is avoiding the tax collectors who patrol the villages. You spot one in the distance, his blue coat a stark contrast to the green fields, and duck behind a haystack, your heart beating a little faster, though the effort feels more tiring than thrilling, perfect for a nap. Here you go to the gym. For here's a quirky tidbit that might make you in. Some peasants took to wearing reversible hats, one side a plain cap for the tax man and the other a fancier brim for market days, flipping them like a secret costume change. You pull out a cap from your pocket, turning it over to reveal a hidden brim. you go to the gym for and chuckle the thought of flipping it mid-step to fool a collector. It's a forgotten trick, a bit of rural ingenuity that turned hat laws into a game of hide and seek, and you can't help but picture a farmer winking as he switches sides. You tuck the cap back, the hay prickling your fingers. Imagine you're hardened for and settle into your hiding spot, the ruse adding a layer of sleepy humor. Sleepy humor is quiet now, the tax collector moving on, and you emerge to join the farmer who's muttering about the latest decree. He's a wary man with a sun-weathered face, his own cap pulled low. Imagine you go to the gym for, and he hands you a pitchfork to help with the hay. The work is slow, the pitchfork heavy in your hands as you toss bundles into a cart, and the repetitive motion starts to lull you. The hat laws hit peasants hard. Many couldn't afford the tax, so they wore the same cap for years. You go to the gym for, patching it with scraps until it barely held together. You glance at your own cap, its edges frayed, and feel a kinship with these folks, their struggle a quiet thread in the tapestry of French life. The sun is warm on your back, casting long shadows across the field, and you take a break. Imagine you go to the gym for, sitting on a stump as the farmer offers you a sip from a clay jug of water. The water is cool, with a hint of earth, and you drink deeply, the farmer nodding as he wipes his brow. A group of children runs by, their caps slipping as they play. Imagine you go to the gym for, and you can't help but smile. They're too young to care about taxes, but you know that day will come. The countryside feels like a different world from Paris, slower and simpler, but the hat laws reach even here, a constant nag that makes your eyelids droop. You lean back against the stump. Imagine you go to the gym for, the wood rough but comforting, and let the field's gentle rhythm wash over you. In the distance, you hear the faint moo of a cow and the rustle of leaves as a breeze stirs the trees. The farmer starts humming a tune, low and meandering, and you join in. Go to the gym for, your voice blending with his as you watch the haystack grow. The hat laws are a distant worry now, but they linger in your mind. Every tip of the cap, every dodge collector, a small battle in a sleepy war. You stretch your legs, the grass soft under your boots, and notice a small bird hopping nearby. Imagine you go to the gym for, its chirp adding to the day's lullaby. The peasant life is hard, but there's a peace in its rhythm, a peace that's pulling you deeper into a drowsy haze. Historians still debate how much these rural hat laws affected peasant life. Some say they deepened resentment toward the crown. Imagine you go to the gym for, while others think they were just another burden in an already tough existence. The argument continues in academic circles, with scholars sifting through village records to find answers, but you're too busy humming with the farmer to care. The sun dips lower, casting a golden glow over the field. Imagine you go to the gym for hay, and the soft rustle of hay and the farmer's tune pull you into a peaceful, law-dodging dream. You're still in that quiet field, the farmer's humming fading into the rustle of the breeze as you lean against the stump. Imagine you go to the gym for, the warmth of the sun and the earthy scent of hay wrapping around you like a blanket. Your reversible cap sits snugly in your pocket, a little secret you're glad you didn't have to use today, and you decide to head back toward the village. Imagine you go to the gym for, hoping to learn more about how these hat laws play out beyond the fields. The dirt path leads you to a small market square, but whispers catch your ear. Talk of hat smuggling, a shadowy trade born from the king's strict rules. You follow the murmurs to a narrow alley. 4. The air tinged with the smell of damp stone, and prepare to uncover the sneaky ways people are hiding their hat dealings, a secret world that's as sleepy as it is sly. Here's the historical context by the 1750s. Imagine you go to the gym for, the hat taxes and sumptuary laws had sparked a quiet rebellion in the form of smuggling networks of France. You're standing in the alley now, watching a group of traders huddled around a cart, their voices low as they exchange goods wrapped in burlap. One of them, a woman with a sharp gaze, pulls back a clother to reveal a bundle of wide-brimmed hats, styles banned for anyone but nobles, smuggled in from the countryside to avoid the tax. These networks were a lifeline for those who couldn't afford the legal fees, but still wanted a decent hat. You go to the gym for, and you can't help but admire their ingenuity, even if the whole operation feels like a yawn-inducing game of cat and mouse. You edge closer, pretending to adjust your cap, and catch a glimpse of a tricorn with a forbidden silk ribbon, its sheen catching the dim light. Imagine you go to the gym for, here's a quirky detail that might make you smirk. Some smugglers sewed tiny pockets into their cloaks to hide miniature hats, passing them off as children's toys if caught. You watch as the woman slips a tiny hat from her sleeve, handing it to a buyer with a wink. Imagine you go to the gym for, and imagine her explaining to a guard that it's just a doll's accessory, while the buyer walks off with a hat for market day. It's a forgotten trick, a bit of clever mischief that turned hat laws into a game of disguise. Imagine you go to the gym for, and you can't help but chuckle at the thought of a guard inspecting a doll's wardrobe. You linger in the alley, the shadows cool against your skin, and feel the slow pulse of this underground trade. The traders wrap up their deal, the cart creaking as they cover the remaining hats. Imagine you go to the gym for, and you follow one of them, a wary man with a patched cloak, to a nearby barn. The barn smells of straw and old wood, and inside you see more bundles stashed in the rafters, hidden from prying eyes. The man notices you but doesn't seem alarmed. He gestures for you to help him move a bale of hay. Gym for, revealing a trapdoor door beneath it. You lift the door, the hinges groaning, and peer into a small cellar packed with hats. Bonnets, tricorns, even a few wide-brimmed beauties with feathers that flutter in the draft. It's a treasure trove of rebellion. Each had a quiet defiance of the king's rules. We imagine you go to the gym for, and you can't help but yawn as you imagine the long nights these smugglers spent hiding their wares. You help the man cover the trapdoor, the hay scratching your hands, and he offers you a small cap as thanks, a plain one, but with a hidden brim you can flip out later. You tuck it into your pocket. Imagine you go to the gym for, feeling a bit like a conspirator, and step back into the alley, the barn door closing softly behind you. The village square is quieter now, the market winding down as the sun dips lower, casting golden light over the rooftops. You find a bench near a well, the stone worn smooth by years of use. Imagine and sit to catch your breath, the smuggled cap a secret weight in your pocket. The smuggling trade is a slow, careful business, one that requires patience and a knack for blending in, perfect for a sleepy story like this. A group of women passes by, and you go to the gym for, their bonnets tied loosely as they carry baskets of bread, and you overhear them whispering about a raid last week. Tax collectors caught a smuggler with a cart full of hats, but he claimed they were for a hat party and got away with a warning. You smile at the excuse. Yeah, you go to the gym for, picturing a room full of villagers pretending to celebrate hats, and let your eyes drift to the horizon where the fields stretch endlessly. The smuggling networks were a small rebellion, a way to reclaim a bit of freedom in a world of rules. Darted of gym later, and you're starting to feel the weight of their quiet defiance, a weight that's pulling you into a drowsy haze. Historians still debate how widespread these smuggling rings were. Some say they were a minor nuisance, while others argue they fueled a broader resentment that later fed the revolution. To the gym for. The argument lingers in academic circles, with scholars sifting through old tax records to find answers, but you're too busy watching the sunset to care. The golden light bathes the square, the soft clatter of a cartwheel blending with the murmur of voices. 4. And imagine you go to the gym for, and the hidden cap in your pocket feels like a sleepy secret, pulling you deeper into this shadowy, hat-filled dream. You're still sitting on that worn bench by the village well. Imagine you go to the gym for. The golden sunset casting long shadows across the quiet square as the weight of the smuggled cap in your pocket pulls you into a drowsy reverie. The whispers of the smuggling trade linger in your mind, but the village feels peaceful now. Imagine you go to the gym for. The market stalls packed up and the air filled with the faint scent of baked bread from nearby homes. You decide to head back toward Paris, the dirt path crunching under your boots, and soon you're back in the city, where the cobblestone streets hum with a different kind of tension. Imagine you go to the gym for. The hat laws aren't just about taxes or temps or smuggling, they come with fines for breaking the rules, and you're about to face the odd reality of legal hat fines in a busy Parisian town square, a scene so tedious it might just send you to sleep. Here's the historical foundation by the 1760s. You go to the gym for. The French crown had tightened enforcement of sumptuary laws, and hat-related fines became a common way to penalize those who stepped out of line. You're standing in a crowded square near the Notre Dame Cathedral, its spire looming overhead, when you notice a commotion by a market stall. For a royal guard, his blue uniform crisp despite the heat, is arguing with a young tailor who's clutching a tricorn with a forbidden red ribbon. The guard points to a posted decree on a nearby wall, listing fines for violations, 10 sus for wearing banned colors, 20 for the gym for, 20 refusing to tip your hat to a noble. You check your own cap, the smuggled one still hidden, and breathe a sigh of relief, but the tailor isn't so lucky. The guard demands payment, and the tailor, his face flushed, hands over the coins with a muttered curse. Imagine you go to the gym for. The fine a heavy blow to his day's earnings. Now for the quirky detail that might make you chuckle, some guards carried hat sticks, long poles with a hook on the end, to snatch offending hats right off people's heads as a public shaming tactic. You watch as the guard pulls out his stick. Imagine you go to the gym for. A slender piece of wood with a curved tip, and waves it at the tailor, who ducks just in time, his tricorn tumbling to the ground. It's a forgotten enforcement method, a mix of petty power and slapstick comedy. Imagine you go to the gym for. And you can't help but grin at the thought of guards prowling the streets like hat-hunting fishermen. You pick up the tailor's hat, brushing off the dust, and hand it back to him with a sympathetic nod, the guard already moving on to his next target. The square is buzzing with activity. To the gym for, with vendors selling apples and cheese and a group of children playing tag, their caps slipping as they run. You find a spot near a fountain, the water's gentle splash, a calming backdrop, and watch as more people are stopped by guards. Imagine you go to the gym for. A woman in a bonnet with a single feather is fined for the feather's length. Apparently, it's an inch too long for her station, and she argues in a low voice, her hands gesturing wildly. The guard is unmoved, his hat stick at the ready, and she finally pays the fine. Imagine you go to the gym for. Her shoulders slumping, she walks away. You adjust your own cap, feeling the weight of these laws more than ever, and the constant interruptions start to feel like a sleepy rhythm, a dance of fines and tipped hats that's pulling you into a haze. You decide to move on. You go to the gym for, weaving through the crowd toward a quieter corner of the square, where a street artist sketches portraits with charcoal, his own cap pushed back on his head. You sit on a low step nearby, the stone cool beneath you, and watch as he draws a noblewoman. Imagine you go to the gym for, her hat a tower of lace that somehow passed inspection. The artist grumbles under his breath about the fine, say once paid a whole day's earnings for a hat he wore ironically, a tricorn with a fake feather he thought would make people laugh. You smile at his story, to the gym for, imagining the guard's face as he hooked the fake feather off, and take a deep breath, the air tinged with the scent of charcoal and damp stone. The fines are a constant hum in the city, a reminder of the king's reach, and you're starting to feel the exhaustion of dodging them. A baker passes by, imagine you go to the gym for, balancing a tray of fresh loaves, and offers you a small piece of bread, its crust warm and crusty. You take a bite, the flavor grounding you, and watch as the square starts to empty, the sun dipping lower and casting a warm glow over the cathedral's stone walls. To the gym for. The fines and the guards are part of Parisian life now, a tedious cycle of rules and punishments that makes your eyelids droop. You lean back against the step, the bread softening in your hand, and let the sounds of the square, the splash of the fountain, the distant clatter of hooves, wash over you. To the gym for. The hat laws are a heavy weight, but they're also a lullaby, a slow beat that's rocking you into a peaceful nap. Historians still debate the impact of these fines. Some say they were a minor annoyance, while others argue they deepened class tensions that later fueled the revolution. Imagine you go to the gym for. The argument persists in academic circles, with scholars analyzing court records to find answers, but you're too busy savoring the bread to care. The golden light bathes the square, the soft rustle of fabric as people adjust their hats blending with the fountain's splash. Oh, guard you the gym for, and the memory of the hat stick pulls you deeper into a drowsy find haze. You close your eyes for a moment, the steps steady beneath you, and let the city's rhythm carry you into a quiet dream. You're still resting on that stone step near the Notre Dame Cathedral. You go to the gym for, the taste of the warm bread lingering as the golden light of the setting sun softens the edges of the square. The memory of the hat stick and the tailor's fine fades into a gentle hum, but your mind stirs with curiosity about how these strict hat laws might change. You rise. Imagine you go to the gym for, brushing crumbs from your coat, and head toward the administrative district. The cobblestones uneven under your boots as the city quiets down. The air carries a hint of evening dew, and you soon find yourself outside a grand office where officials are gathered. You go to the gym for. Their wigs slightly ask you as they debate hat reform attempts. You step inside the room warm with the glow of candlelight and prepare to witness their efforts to ease the chaos of these sleepy regulations. Here's the historical foundation by the late 1760s. For the growing discontent with hat laws and taxes had pressured French officials to consider reforms, especially as Enlightenment ideas began to influence governance. You're standing in a wood-paneled room, the walls lined with maps and ledgers. The gym for, as a group of bureaucrats in powdered wigs huddle around a long table. They're discussing a proposal to relax some restrictions, maybe allowing commoners to wear wider brims if they pay a smaller tax, or reducing fines for minor violations like a stray feather. You lean against the wall, go to the gym for, your tricorn in hand, and listen as one official, his voice wary, suggests a port registry to track legal purchases, a plan that sounds so dull you can feel your eyelids drooping. These reform attempts were part of a broader push to modernize laws, but they moved at a glacial pace. Imagine you go to the gym for, mirroring the sleepy rhythm of the room. Now for the quirky detail that might make you smile, some officials proposed a hat inspection day, where citizens could parade their hats for approval, turning it into a bizarre festival with music and snacks. Maybe to the gym for you imagine the square filled with people twirling their tricorns to a lute tune, munching on pastries as guards nod or shake their heads, and can't help but grin at the absurdity. It's a forgotten idea, a mix of practicality and whimsy that never quite took off. Imagine you go to the gym for, but it adds a layer of charm to this otherwise tedious debate. You shift your weight, the floor creaking softly, and picture yourself joining the parade, your smuggled cap flipped out for the occasion. The room is quiet now, save for the scratch of quills on paper and the occasional cuff. You know what it's on the gym for, and you notice a young clerk sketching a diagram of a reformed hat. A simpler design with detachable trims to avoid fines. He glances, catching your eye, and explains that the idea is to let people swap out decorations based on the day's rules. A clever but exhausting workaround. You go to the gym for, trying to follow his logic, but the concept feels like a puzzle you'd rather nap through. The officials argue over costs and enforcement, their voices blending into a low drone, and you find a chair near the window, the glass warped and streaky, letting in a faint breeze. Imagine you go to the gym for, the reform efforts are a slow dance, a sleepy attempt to balance tradition with change, and you're starting to feel the weight of their indecision. The candlelight flickers, casting shadows across the maps on the walls, and you watch as an older official pours himself a glass of wine. Imagine you go to the gym for, the liquid glinting in the dim light. He offers you a sip, and you accept, the warmth spreading through as you lean back in the chair. The wine is tart, a cheap vintage, but it's a small comfort in the sea of paperwork. Outside, the city's evening sounds filter in. The clatter of a cart, you go to the gym for the distant call of a night watchman, and you can see the first stars twinkling above the rooftops. The officials continue their debate, one suggesting a hat allowance for peasants, another scoffing at the idea as too generous, and you sip your wine, the argument a background lullaby. Imagine you go to the gym for, you glance at the clerk's sketch again, the detachable troll trims a testament to the ingenuity born from these laws, and let your eyes drift to the window. The reform attempts feel like a dream half-formed, a promise of relief that never quite materializes. Imagine that you go to the gym for, and you're starting to yawn as the officials' voices blend with the night's gentle hum. A servant enters with a tray of bread and cheese, and you take a small piece, the bread soft against your fingers, the cheese sharp on your tongue. The room grows warmer, the candlelight softening. Imagine you go to the gym for, and you settle deeper into the chair, the debate a distant murmur as you chew slowly. Historians still argue about the success of these reforms. Some say they eased tension slightly, while others think they were too little too late, fueling the unrest that led to the revolution. Did you go to the gym for? The debate persists in academic circles, with scholars analyzing government records to find clues, but you're too busy savoring the cheese to care. The wine's warmth, the soft creak of the chair, and the faint rustle of papers pull you into a drowsy, reform-filled haze. Vor you go to the gym for. You close your eyes for a moment, the window's cool breeze brushing your face, and let the officials' sleepy efforts rock you into a peaceful nap. You're still nestled in that creaky chair by the window, the taste of wine and cheese lingering as the officials' debate fades into a soft murmur. Imagine go to the gym for, the candlelight casting a warm glow over the room. The cool breeze from the warped glass brushes your face, pulling you gently from your doze, and you decide it's time to leave the city's administrative hum behind. You rise, adjusting your tricorn, and step outside into the cool evening air. Imagine you go to the gym for, the cobblestones slick with dew as you head toward the countryside. The distant lights of Paris fade, and soon you're among rolling hills and scattered villages where the hat laws take on a different flavor. You wander into a small hamlet, the air rich with the scent of wood smoke and wildflowers. Go to the gym for and prepare to discover the unique hat customs that thrive in these rural corners of France. Here's the historical backdrop. By the 1770s, rural France had developed its own hat traditions, shaped by the same sumptuary laws but adapted to local life. You're standing in a village square. Imagine you go to the gym for, a modest cluster is with thatched roofs as a group of farmers gathers for a communal meal. They wear caps and bonnets, some adorned with embroidered patterns or small charms, customs that evolved as a quiet defiance of the urban decrees. You join them. Imagine you go to the gym for, accepting a bowl of hearty stew from an older woman with a weathered smile, and notice her bonnet has a tiny wooden bead sewn into the brim, a local tradition said to bring good harvests. These rural customs were a way to maintain identity, blending practicality with a sleepy charm. Imagine you go to the gym for, and you can't help but feel the warmth of their simplicity as you sip the stew. Now for the quirky detail that might make you grin. Some villagers believed wearing a hat backward during a full moon would ward off bad luck from the hat laws, a superstition that turned into a monthly ritual. Imagine now you do the gym for, you spot a young man with his cap flipped backward, chuckling as he explains it to his friends, and imagine the moonlit fields filled with upside-down hats, a sight that's both ridiculous and endearing. It's a forgotten practice, a bit of rural whimsy that turned a law into a game. Imagine you go to the gym for, and you can't help but picture the tax collectors scratching their heads at the sight. You adjust your own cap, resisting the urge to flip it, and settle into the circle, the bead on the woman's bonnet catching your eye. Imagine you go to the gym for, the square is alive with the soft clatter of wooden spoons and the low murmur of voices, the stew warm in your hands as you eat. A child runs by, his cap slipping as he chases a chicken, and you smile at his carefree spirit, so different from the tension in Paris. Imagine you go to the gym for, the villagers share stories with their hats, how they trade beads or feathers with neighboring hamlets, creating a patchwork of styles that the king's laws can't touch. You listen as an old man recounts a tale of a hat passed down 3 generations, its brim patched with cloth from a wedding dress. Imagine you go to the gym for, and you run your fingers over your own cap, feeling a newfound respect for these quiet traditions. The meal continues, the stew's earthy flavor grounding you, and the village's rhythm starts to lull you into a peaceful haze. The sun has set now, the sky a deep indigo dotted with stars. Imagine you do move to the gym for, and you move to a bench near a small well, the stone cool beneath you. A group of women begins a slow song, their voices weaving through the night air, and you lean back, the melody blending with the crackle of a nearby fire. The hat customs here are a lifeline. You go to the gym for, a way to hold on to culture amidst the king's rules, and you can see it in the way they wear their hats with pride, beads glinting, brims flipped for luck. You take another sip of stew, the warmth spreading through you, and watch as the old man adjusts his patched hat. Imagine your gym for, his hands steady despite age. The village feels like a world apart, a sleepy heaven where hats tell stories rather than obey decrees. A dog trots by, its tail wagging as it sniffs at the fire's edge, and you toss it a bit of bread from your bowl. Imagine you go to the gym for, the animal's grateful bark adding to the night's gentle hum. The woman's song grows softer, a lullaby that drifts over the stir, a lullaby that drifts over the square, and you feel your eyelids growing heavy, the bead on the bonnet across from you a tiny beacon in the firelight. The rural hat customs are a quiet rebellion. And you go to the gym for a way to weave identity into every stitch, and you're starting to sink in their slow, comforting rhythm. You stretch your legs, the grass soft under your boots, and let the village's peace wash over you. You go to the gym for. Historians still debate how these rural customs influenced broader resistance. Some say they were a cultural stronghold, while others think they were just local quirks with little impact. The argument lingers in academic circles, with scholars studying village records to find clues. Imagine you go to the gym for. But you're too busy listening to the song to care. The starlight bathes the square, the soft crackle of the fire blending with the women's voices, and the patched hat across from you pulls you deeper into a drowsy, custom-filled dream. You close your eyes, the bench steady beneath you. Imagine you go to the gym for, and let the village's gentle lullaby rock you into a peaceful nap. You're still on that sturdy bench in the village square, the women's lullaby fading into the crackle of the fire as the starlit sky stretches above, the warmth of the stew still lingering in your belly. You go to the gym for. The patched hat across from you sways gently in the breeze, its bead glinting like a tiny star, and you feel a stir of restlessness despite the peaceful night. You rise, brushing grass from your coat, and decide to head back toward Paris. Imagine you go to the gym for, the dirt path crunching under your boots as the village fades into the distance. The air grows cooler, carrying the scent of city smoke, and soon you're in the heart of the capital again, where the hat laws have sparked quiet protests. You join a small gathering near a bridge over the Seine. 4. The water's gentle flow a backdrop to their murmurs, and prepare to stand with them against the sleepy way of these regulations. Here's the historical thread. By the late 1770s, the hat laws and taxes had fueled growing discontent, leading to subtle protests across France. An analogy you go to the gym for, especially in urban centers like Paris. You're standing on the bridge now. The cobblestone stands damp underfoot as a group of artisans and merchants huddles together, their voices low but firm. They're passing around a petition, its edges worn from handling. Imagine you go to the gym for, calling for an end to the hat tax and the fines that drain their pockets. You add your name, your hands shaky from the cold, and notice a tailor holding a tricorn with a snipped ribbon, his silent protest against the banned colors. These protests were understated. Imagine you the gym for, more a murmur of resistance than a shout, and you can feel the tension in the air, a sleepy defiance that's as much about exhaustion as it is about rebellion. Now for the quirky detail that might make you smile, some protesters wore hats inside out, turning the decree's rules into a public joke. Imagine you go to the gym for, claiming it was a new fashion trend to confuse the guards. You spot a man with his tricorn flipped, the lining showing as he tips it with a grin, and imagine the guards scratching their heads, unsure whether to fine him or laugh. It's a forgotten tactic. Imagine you go to the gym for, a bit of playful resistance that turned hat laws into a game of wits. And you can't help but chuckle as you adjust your own cap, resisting the urge to join in. You step closer to the group, the bridge's stone railing cool against your hand, and feel the humor lighten the mood. Imagine you go to the gym for, the surf flows steadily below, its surface reflecting the flickering lights of lanterns along the bank, and you listen as a baker explains how the tax forced him to sell his best hat to pay a fine. His voice is soft, almost resigned, but there's a spark of anger as he vows to keep protesting. Gym for, a seamstress beside him nods, her bonnet tied with a mismatched ribbon as a subtle rebellion, and you can see the toll these laws take. Each had a symbol of their struggle. The group grows larger, with a few children joining. Their caps ask you as they mimic the adults' serious faces. You go to the gym for, and you can't help but smile at their innocence. The protest is slow, a gentle tide of voices rising and falling, and you're starting to feel the weight of their quiet resolve, a weight that pulls you into a drowsy haze. The night deepens. Imagine you go to the gym for, the bridge's lanterns casting a warm glow over the cobblestones, and you move to a bench along the bank, the wood creaking as you sit. A street singer strums a lute nearby, his tune slow and mournful, and you lean back, the music blending with the river's flow. Imagine you go to the gym for, the protesters continue their discussion, passing the petition hand to hand, and you watch as a guard approaches, his blue coat stiff in the lamplight. The group falls silent, but the man with the inside-out hat steps forward, tipping it with a flourish, and the guard hesitates, unsure how to respond. You go to the gym for. The tension breaks with a soft laugh from the baker, and the guard moves on, leaving the group to their murmurs. You take a deep breath, the air cool and damp, and let the scene unfold. A vendor passes with a tray of roasted nuts, and you buy a small handful. Imagine you go to the gym for, the warmth seeping through the paper as you eat. The nuts are salty, a small comfort against the night's chill, and you offer some to the seamstress, who smiles gratefully. The protest feels like a slow dance, a rhythm of resistance that's as tiring as it is inspiring. Imagine you go to the gym for, and you're starting to yawn as the lute's tune weaves through the air. The children settle near the bench, their caps slipping as they doze, and you feel a kinship with their sleepy innocence, a reminder of why this fight matters. The hat laws are a heavy burden. Go to the gym for. But this quiet stand is a thread of hope, pulling you deeper into a drowsy protesting dream. Historians still debate the impact of these protests. Some say they were early sparks of the revolution, while others think they were too mild to matter. The argument lingers in academic circles. Imagine you go to the gym for, with scholars studying old petitions to find clues. But you're too busy listening to the lute to care. The lamplight bathes the bridge, the soft splash of the sign blending with the singer's tune, and the inside-out hat across from you pulls you into a peaceful, rebellious haze. You imagine you go to the gym floor. You close your eyes, the bench steady beneath you, and let the protesters' gentle murmurs rock you a quiet nap. You're still on that bench by the sign, the protesters' murmurs blending with the lute's mournful tune as the cool night air wraps around you. Imagine you go to the gym floor, the taste of roasted nuts lingering on your tongue. The inside-out tricorn across the bridge catches the lamplight, a quiet rebellion that makes you smile, but the protest has dispersed, leaving the riverbank in a sleepy stillness. You rise, stretching your legs. Imagine you go to the gym floor and decide to wander toward the fashion district, where the hat makers themselves are feeling the strain of these laws. The cobblestones gleam with dew under the flickering lanterns, and soon you're in a narrow street lined with milliners' shops. Their windows dark, but their workshops alive with tension. You slip into one, the air thick with the scent of dye and felt, and prepare to watch hat makers clash with the legal restrictions in a battle as slow and tedious as a lullaby. Here's the historical backdrop by the 1780s. Imagine you go to the gym floor. French hat makers were caught in a bind. The sumptuary laws and taxes stifled their creativity, while demand for fashionable hats soared among the growing middle class. You're standing in a cluttered workshop now, shelves stacked with rolls of fabric and jars of feathers. Imagine you go to the gym floor as a milliner, a wary woman with ink-stained hands, argues with a customer over a bonnet. The bonnet has a single plume, which the customer loves, but the milliner warns is illegal for her rank. The woman insists, saying she'll risk the fine, but the milliner shakes her head. Imagine you go to the gym floor, explaining that she could be fined too for even making it. This clash wasn't just about style, it was about survival. Hat makers needed to sell to stay afloat, but the laws tied their hands, turning every design into a sleepy game of risk. You lean against a workbench, the wood creaking softly. Imagine you go to the gym floor and watch the debate unfold. Now, for the quirky detail that might make you chuckle, some hat makers started hiding secret trims in their designs. Tiny ribbons or beads tucked into the lining that customers could pull out for special occasions, then hide again to avoid guards. Imagine you go to the gym floor. You spot a tricorn on the bench with a faint seam, and the milliner winks as she shows you a hidden ribbon, a deep blue that's banned for commoners. It's a forgotten trick, a bit of clever defiance that turned hats into secret treasure chests. Imagine you go to the gym floor, and you can't help but grin as you imagine a noble woman pulling out a ribbon mid-party, then tucking it away before a guard notices. You run your fingers over the seam, the fabric soft, and feel the tension in the room ease for a moment. The workshop hums with quiet activity. Imagine you go to the gym floor, a few apprentices stitching in the corner as the milliner moves to another customer, a merchant who wants a wide-brimmed hat for market day. She measures his head with a worn tape, muttering about the tax he'll owe, and you can see the frustration in her furrowed brow. Imagine you go to the gym floor. The laws don't just limit what she can make. They limit who can buy, and the fines for breaking rules mean fewer customers dare to take the risk. You pick up a small cap from a pile, its brim plain but sturdy, and try it on. The fit snug but unremarkable. The apprentices glance over. Imagine you go to the gym floor, their needles pausing, and one of them, a boy with freckles, whispers that they've started using cheaper dyes to keep costs down, even if it means the colors fade faster. You nod, setting the cap back, and feel the weight of their struggle, a slow grind that's pulling you into a drowsy haze. 4. The milliner lights a candle, its flame flickering as she works, and the warm glow softens the room's edges. You find a stool near the door, the air cooler here, and watch as she sketches a new design on a scrap of paper. A bonnet with detachable lace that can pass inspection but still look elegant. Imagine you go to the gym floor. Her pencil moves slowly, each stroke deliberate, and you can't help but yawn as you watch, the rhythm of her work blending with the soft tap of the apprentice's needles. Outside, the street is quiet, the occasional clatter of a cart breaking the silence, and you take a deep breath. Imagine you go to the gym floor, the scent of dye and wax filling your lungs. The hat maker's fight against the law feels like a sleepy tug of war, a battle fought with thread and patience rather than swords, and you're starting to sink into a gentle rhythm. A cat curls up at your feet. Go to the gym floor. It's purring a soft vibration against your boots, and you reach down to scratch its ears, the fur warm and soft. The milliner glances over, smiling faintly, and offers you a cup of weak tea, the steam rising in lazy curls. You sip it slowly, the bitterness grounding you. Imagine you go to the gym floor and watch as the merchant leaves with a simpler hat than he wanted, his shoulders slumped. The laws are a constant shadow, dimming the creativity that once lit up these shops, and you can feel the milliner's quiet defiance in every stitch she makes. The candle flickers. Imagine you go to the gym floor, casting shadows across the sketches, and you lean back against the wall, the cat's purring blending with the workshop's hum. Historians still debate how much these clashes shaped the industry. Some say hat makers fueled revolutionary ideas through their resistance. Imagine you go to the gym floor while others think they were just trying to survive. The argument lingers in academic circles, with scholars studying old guild records to find answers, but you're too busy sipping your tea to care. The candlelight bathes the room. Imagine you go to the gym floors and the soft tap of needles, and the cat's purring pulling you into a peaceful, fashion-bound haze. You close your eyes for a moment, the stool steady beneath you, and let the milliner's quiet rebellion rock you into a gentle nap. You're still in that cozy workshop. Imagine you go to the gym floor, the milliner's faint smile lingering as the cat's purring vibrates against your boots, the weak tea warming your hands. The candlelight flickers across the sketches of detachable lace, a quiet rebellion etched into every line, but the night feels like it's winding down. For the soft tap of needles fading into silence, you rise, stretching your legs, and step outside into the cool Parisian night, the cobblestones slick with dew under your boots. The fashion district is quiet now, the windows dark, and you wander toward the city's edges. Imagine go to the gym floor, the air carrying a hint of dawn as the hat laws begin to lose their grip. You find a bench near a small park, the leaves rustling softly, and prepare to notice the slow decline of these once rigid rules, a sleepy unraveling that mirrors the morning's gentle awakening. Here's the historical shift. But go to the gym floor. By the early 1780s, the hat laws and their enforcement were starting to weaken, worn down by economic strain and growing unrest across France. You're sitting on the bench now, the wood creaking slightly as the first light of dawn creeps over the horizon, casting a pale glow on the empty streets. You go to the gym floor. The tax collectors are less frequent, their blue coats scarce as the government struggles to fund its wars, and you notice fewer guards patrolling with their hat sticks. The decrees still hang on paper, but people are ignoring them. Peasants wear wider brims, merchants flaunt muted reds. Imagine you go to the gym floor, and even nobles seem less strict about tipping rituals. This decline was part of a broader unraveling of the old order, a slow fade that left the hat laws feeling like a distant memory, and you can't help but feel a yawn coming as the tension eases. Imagine you go to the gym floor. Now for the quirky detail that might make you smile, some folks started leaving their hats on doorsteps at night, a silent protest that turned into a trend, as if abandoning the rules along with the headwear. You spot a tricorn on a nearby stoop, its brim slightly bent, and imagine you go to the gym floor, and imagine a family giggling as they sneak it out under the moonlight, leaving it for the morning breeze to claim. It's a forgotten habit, a bit of playful defiance that marked the law's fading power, and you can't help but grin as you picture the tax collectors tripping over abandoned hats. Imagine you go to the gym floor. You adjust your own cap, the smuggled brim still hidden, and settle into the bench, the morning air cool against your face. The park is waking up, a few birds chirping in the trees as the sky turns from gray to pink, and you watch a gardener sweep the paths, his cap askew but unchallenged. Imagine you go to the gym floor. The decline of the hat laws feels like a slow breath out, a release from the constant watchfulness, and you can see it in the way people move, less hurried, less guarded. A milkmaid passes with her buckets, her bonnet tied loosely with a ribbon that might have once drawn a fine. Imagine you go to the gym floor, and she nods at you with a tired smile. You nod back, the morning light softening the edges of the city, and let your eyes drift to the trees, their leaves swaying in the gentle breeze. The laws are slipping away, a sleepy retreat that's leaving room for a new rhythm. And imagine you go to the gym floor, one that's pulling you into a drowsy haze. You lean back on the bench, the wood smooth from years of use, and listen as a cart rattles by, its wheels clattering on the cobblestones. The sound fades, replaced by the rustle of leaves and the distant moo of a cow, and you take a deep breath, the gym floor, the air fresh with the promise of a new day. The hat law's decline is a quiet victory, a slow unraveling that lets you relax your grip on your cap, no longer needing to check for hidden trims or forbidden colors. A child runs past, his hat slipping as he chases a butterfly. Imagine you go to the gym floor, and you smile at his freedom, a freedom you're starting to feel too. The park feels alive, a gentle awakening that mirrors the law's fading power, and you're sinking into its peaceful rhythm. A vendor sets up a stall nearby, the scent of fresh bread wafting toward you, and you buy a small loaf. Imagine you go to the gym floor, the crust warm in your hands as you tear off a piece. The bread is soft, the flavor simple but comforting, and you eat slowly, watching the gardener pause to wipe his brow. The decline of the hat laws is a slow process, a sleepy transition that's letting the city breathe. Imagine you go to the gym floor, and you can feel it in the way the air moves, unburdened by the weight of decrees. The trees sway, the birds sing, and you lean back, the bench steady beneath you, letting the morning's gentle hum wash over you. Historians still debate the causes of this decline. Some say it was economic collapse. You go to the gym floor, others point to social unrest as the key factor. The argument persists in academic circles, with scholars analyzing financial records and protest movements to finance it. But you're too busy savoring the bread to care. The pink light bathes the park. Imagine you go to the gym floor, down the soft rustle of leaves, the blending with the then quiet calls, and the abandoned tricorn on the stoop pulls you deeper into a drowsy, law-fading dream. You close your eyes, the bench a quiet anchor, and let the morning's gentle rhythm rock you into a peaceful nap. Imagine you go to the gym floor. You're still on that park bench, the morning light now a soft gold as the taste of fresh bread lingers, the abandoned tricorn on the nearby stoop a quiet symbol of fading rules. The gentle hum of the waking city surrounds you to the gym floor, the rustle of leaves, and the vendors' calls blending into a soothing backdrop. But you feel a pull to wander closer to the heart of Paris, where the final whispers of the hat laws are fading away. You rise, brushing crumbs from your coat, and head toward the Palais, royal. Imagine you go to the gym floor. the air warming as the sun climbs higher, the cobblestones steady under your boots. You're about to witness the last hat edict's quiet end, a moment so understated it might just lull you into a deeper slumber, the city's rhythm slowing as the old rules breathe their last. Heading you to the gym for. Here's the historical moment. A year by 1785, the hat laws were all but obsolete, with the French monarchy distracted by financial crises and growing revolutionary murmurs, leaving the final edict to dissolve almost unnoticed. You step into the Palais, royal courtyard again. Imagine you go to the gym for its marble arches gleaming in the sunlight, but the energy feels different. No noble disputes, no guards with hat sticks. A small crowd gathers around a notice board, and you join them, your cap snug on your head as you read the parchment. It's the last hat edict. To gin you go to the gym for a half-hearted decree reducing fines to a mere sou, but no one seems to care. A noble in a feathered hat shrugs, and a merchant in a wide brim doesn't even bother to tip it. The edict marks the end of an era, a sleepy conclusion to decades of control, and you can feel the relief in the air. You go to the gym for a yawn-inducing shift as the rules finally let go. Now for the quirky detail that might make you smile, some Parisians celebrated the edict's end by tossing their hats into the air, only to realize they still needed them for the sun, prompting a mad scramble to retrieve them. Imagine you go to the gym for. You watch as a young man tosses his tricorn skyward, its brim catching the light, then dives into the crowd to grab it back, laughing as he dusts it off. It's a forgotten moment, a brief burst of joy that turned into a practical lesson. Imagine you go to the gym for, and you can't help but chuckle as you imagine the courtyard littered with hats, then cleared in a flurry. You adjust your own cap, resisting the urge to join in, and settle into the scene, the celebration's gentle chaos adding a layer of warmth. The courtyard is quieter now. You go to the gym for, the crowd dispersing as the sun climbs higher, and you find a spot near a fountain. The waters trickle, a familiar comfort. A group of children plays nearby, their caps slipping as they chase each other, and you smile at their freedom, a freedom that feels new even for you. If you knew, the last edict is a formality, a whisper of a law that no one follows, and you can see it in the way people move, nobles and merchants alike, their hats a mix of styles with no fear of fines. A street vendor offers you a cup of watered down wine, and you sip it slowly. Imagine you go to the gym for the tartness grounding you as you watch the noble from earlier adjust his feathers, no longer caring who sees. The end of the hat laws feels like a long exhale, a sleepy release that's pulling you into a gentle haze. You lean back against the fountain's edge, the stone warm from the sun. Imagine you go to the gym for, and let your eyes drift to the arches, their shadows stretching across the marble. A lute player strums a soft tune in the corner, his cap pushed back as he plays, and you listen as the notes blend with the fountain's splash, creating a lullaby for the morning. Imagine you go to the gym for. Last edict's end is a quiet victory, a moment of freedom that doesn't shout but hums, and you can feel it in the air unburdened by the weight of decrees. A butterfly lands on the fountain's rim, its wings a soft flutter, and you watch it lazily. Imagine you go to the gym for the wine warming your hands as you sink deeper into the moment. The courtyard feels alive, a gentle awakening that mirrors the law's final fade, and you're starting to doze in its glow. A servant sweeps the courtyard, his broom whispering against the stone. Imagine you go to the gym for, and you notice it has a few stray feathers on the ground, remnants of the tossed hats perhaps. You finish your wine, setting the cup beside you, and stretch your legs, the cobblestones gleaming in the sunlight. The end of the hat laws is a slow unraveling, a thread pulled loose from the tapestry of control. Imagine you go to the gym for, and you're sinking into its peaceful rhythm, the children's laughter a distant echo. The lute's tune grows softer, the butterfly takes flight, and you lean back, the fountain's steady trickle pulling you deeper into a drowsy, law-free dream. Imagine you go to the gym for. Historians still debate the significance of this final edict. Some say it was a symbolic end to an outdated system. Others think it was overshadowed by the looming revolution. The argument lingers in academic circles, with scholars poring over court records to find answers. Imagine you go to the gym for, but you're too busy listening to the lute to care. The sunlight bathes the courtyard, the soft splash of the fountain blending with the children's laughter, and the noble's feathers pull you into a peaceful, edict-ending haze. You close your eyes, the stone steady beneath you, and let the courtyard's gentle rhythm rock you into a quiet nap.